Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
I'm tracking a cold front that'll come through this afternoon, bringing just a few sprinkles, but some much colder air for the weekend. I'll show you what to expect.
Similarities in military service. This morning, a deep dive into the backgrounds of the New Orleans and Las Vegas suspects with insights from Fort Liberty leaders.
And memorials on Bourbon Street, flowers and crosses line the road as New Orleans grieves what we know about the victims of that New Year's Eve attack. We have a lot of coverage on that and other stories this morning on your Friday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
Yeah, I'm Chris Levingood. And you know, it's not lost on us the heaviness that these stories have had the last couple of days. We know we read about them and we move to the next story. Like, we know they're very serious, and we're obviously going to bring some lighter moments during the news as well. Let's go ahead and start with a little lighter news, seeing Elizabeth Gardner here today.
I do have some heavy news for you, though. It is cloudy out there right now, and it's cold. This is, of course, a live look at RDU over Terminal 2. It's 34 degrees. Right now, our wind is light, but a cold front will come through this evening, and that's really going to kick up the wind and bring us a wind chill for tonight and tomorrow. It is 28 in Roxborough, 31 in Rocky Mount, 32 in Goldsboro, 34 in Fayetteville right now. Our hour-by-hour rain chance is going to be a quick one between 3 and 6 o'clock. It's a 20% chance, mostly from the Triangle area north and east, and the amounts will be very light. Enjoy this warm day, 51 degrees this afternoon with some clouds on and off, but that's going to be as warm as it will be for the next 7 days. We have a big downturn in our temperature coming our way. Watch how the winds really start to pick up this evening, gusting, say, 15 to 20 miles per hour. I'll show you what that will feel like tonight and tomorrow with the wind chill coming up. Ken?
Elizabeth, at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, all the major routes are really delay-free this morning, but there are a handful of incidents we want to bring your attention to. First of all, this serious crash on Airport Boulevard in the southbound lane near Crimmon Parkway there in Morrisville. We're working to find out exactly what's going on and whether or not this is going to affect your morning commute there in Morrisville. We'll keep an eye on that. This crash on Glenwood Avenue just cleared just in the last 30 seconds we've been here, which is good news. Nothing to worry about this morning. This crash just popped up in the last 20 minutes. Oak Forest Drive in the eastbound lane near Tanglewood Drive. It's in a neighborhood, so not really causing any problems. So the closest major thoroughfare there is Capitol Boulevard, but again, nothing really to worry about. If you're heading into the capital city using any of our major routes, you have very little to no delays to report this morning. You will get to wherever you're headed on time. Similarly, in Durham, you're not looking at any delays on any of those major routes heading into the Bull City this morning. So that's something you really should make a note of if you're getting ready to head out this morning. And if you are getting ready to head out, tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You see it right there. We'll keep you updated. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
All right, thank you, Ken. Bourbon Street in New Orleans is back open to much smaller crowds after the attack there early Wednesday morning. This is a live look at the French Quarter right now, where we've seen people walking throughout the morning. Here's where the investigation stands right now. The FBI says it believes the attacker acted alone as he plowed through the street early Wednesday morning, killing 14 people and injuring dozens more. And while the attacker said he was doing it on behalf of ISIS, the White House has seen no evidence of foreign involvement in the attack. The FBI also says there's no definite connection right now between the attack in New Orleans and the Tesla Cybertruck explosion outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas.
Now, the men connected to those cases in New Orleans and Las Vegas both lived here in North Carolina, and they both served at Fort Liberty when it was still called Fort Bragg. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey has been at Fort Liberty this morning with a deep dive into the similarities between the men.
There are so many similarities between these two men, aside from the fact that they both served here at Fort Liberty. Maybe all of these are coincidences, but today the FBI is working to find out if there's more to this. We know Sham Sudeen Jabbar and Matthew Livelsberger both served in the Army and were stationed here at Fort Liberty. But law enforcement says there's no record that they served in the same unit and they didn't overlap. However, they both served in Afghanistan back in 2009. Now comes the similarities in what happened. Both men used the same car rental company, Turo, to rent their vehicles with attacks on New Year's Day. And both vehicles were electric, a Ford F-150 Lightning in New Orleans and a Tesla Cybertruck in Las Vegas. Law enforcement shared an update on the Las Vegas attack yesterday.
We're always concerned in these sorts of events to ascertain what the motive is. We understand that's everybody's at the forefront of everyone's thoughts. And so looking into exactly what the motivation is remains our number one priority. This is why the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force has been brought into play.
We've reported before that the FBI says Jabbar was inspired by ISIS. As for Leibelsberger, the FBI says they haven't gotten access to his cell phone or computers just yet, and that may give them some clues about his motive. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Fayetteville.
And we are hearing from a family member of Shamsuddin Jabbar, the driver in connection to the deadly New Orleans terror attack. Jabbar's younger brother, who did not want to be identified on camera, shared his family's shock and devastation.
Our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to those families, the victims of those families, and those who were there to witness it. This wasn't the man I knew. This wasn't the father, the son that I knew. And that also this isn't any representation of al-Islam or Muslims or the Muslim community.
Jabbar was shot and killed by police after firing on officers during the attack. 2 officers were shot and are in stable condition this morning.
Memorials are growing on Bourbon Street for the victims of that attack. Crosses and flowers line the street, and among them is a sign saying a vigil will be held there tomorrow night. We just want to share some of the victims' stories this morning. Nakira Dado was 18 and dreamed of becoming a nurse. Her mother posted, "When your parents say don't go anywhere, please listen to them. I lost my baby. Just pray for me and my family." Nicole Perez was a single mom. She didn't have a car, so she walked to work to provide for her 5-year-old son. She told friends she was excited about New Year's Eve in the French Quarter. Then there's 21-year-old Hubert Guthrow. His mom says he would give anything to everyone. His last text to his family came just after midnight, and he wrote, quote, "I love you."
And fans attending the Sugar Bowl between Notre Dame and Georgia in New Orleans observed a moment of silence before kickoff. The game was postponed from New Year's Day to allow time for additional security measures. We spoke with a man from Raleigh who was at the game about the changes that were made to keep people safe.
Inside the stadium, I'd say as we walked in, they scanned everybody down, made sure everybody emptied their pockets to check what they had. And as we got into the stadium, they had officers all inside. They have dogs walking around.
The Sugar Bowl is the first in a series of major events New Orleans will be hosting in 2025. That includes the Super Bowl next month.
In the Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame took down the SEC champion Georgia 23-10. The Fighting Irish advanced to the semifinals of the college football playoff. They'll next play Penn State in the Orange Bowl, and that is on January 9th. Stay with us on air and online as we learn more about these developing stories. We will have complete coverage on WRAL.com and the News app.
A Rocky Mount man is facing an attempted murder charge after police say that he severely injured a man. Police arrested William Battle following an investigation that started when 61-year-old Stanley Deese was dropped off at Nash UNC Hospital with severe injuries Tuesday morning. Deese is in critical condition and now at ECU Medical Center. Police say Battle attacked the man on East Hudson Street. Battle is being held at the Edgecombe County Jail without bond.
Today, we expect to learn more about a bomb threat that forced all lanes of I-85 to close for hours. This was near Greenville, South Carolina. It started with a traffic stop at about 2:45 yesterday afternoon. A tractor-trailer driver told a state trooper he had an explosive device inside his truck. All 6 lanes of I-85 were shut down as authorities investigated, but no bomb was found. The driver was taken into custody, and authorities say they will release more information today, including the charges the driver faces.
Tonight, Cedar Ridge High School's girls basketball team will honor a former player who was killed in a shooting this week. Zakara Wardlow was found dead early Monday morning in Hillsborough. She attended Cedar Ridge last school year and played for the team. They will honor her before their game tonight at 6:45 against Southern Alamance. Counselors and support services will also be there for students and staff.
Dry January has gained popularity, but new research shows not drinking is still stigmatized. Coming up, what Gen Z is saying about how peer pressure could affect their willingness to drink.
And neighbors sharing their heartbreak after that deadly fireworks explosion in Hawaii. Hear them share the scary moments illegal fireworks were triggered on the ground.
And a cold front will cross the area this afternoon, bringing a very small chance for showers, but then also much colder temperatures starting tonight and tomorrow. I'll show you what to expect.
Good morning, North Hills. Grab that cup of coffee and join us here as we're looking at some cloud coverage across the sky, not just there, elsewhere today, and pretty chilly start, but things are going to see a slight warm up. You're watching WRAL News, available on Hulu and the WRAL app, or your TV or your streaming device. We've got Elizabeth Gardner here. She is tracking your weather forecast for the weekend. A pretty okay-ish start to the day.
Yeah, it's gray out there. It's chilly. Temperatures are close to freezing, and we're looking at clouds in Fayetteville as well as Apex, Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant, and a good bit of cloud cover here in Raleigh as well. Here comes our front, and out ahead of that front, we're definitely seeing a good bit of cloud cover, but no precipitation coming here. We are looking at some snow to start falling soon in the mountains, but as this slides into our area this afternoon, it's all just going to be a little bit of light, patchy rain. Here's lunchtime with cloud cover, and you can see at 3 o'clock a few isolated showers from north of Durham up towards South Hill. By the time we get to 5 o'clock, most of that is starting to push out of the viewing area. It's going to move through very quickly, and the amounts will be probably a couple hundredths of an inch, and that's it. We clear overnight, and the wind will really pick up, and so the wind chill is going to be an issue for us tonight, tomorrow morning, and really all day tomorrow. Just a 20% chance of rain for this afternoon and evening, and then on Sunday night, we start to see the rain rolling back in, and a 90% chance on Monday. Now, Monday may end up being a WRAL weather alert day. Most of us are going to just see rain, but up near the Virginia line, there's the possibility of a wintry mix. Could be a little bit of freezing rain, could be a little snow mixing in. This version of Futurecast that shows snow shows things changing a little bit, but the models are going to change a lot between now and Monday, so we'll watch this, but it doesn't mean that we're really changing our forecast. This is the potential for this evening, so along the mountains of North Carolina, but nothing here. And then as we get into Sunday and Monday, notice how this version of Futurecast is starting to show a little bit of snow. The problem with this forecast is it's forecasting the snow at the end of the event, so the cold air chasing the rain and changing it into snow. That is a pattern that doesn't usually work out for us, so we don't have a lot of hope for any snow. But up near the Virginia line, there could be a wintry mix and possibly a little bit of freezing rain that could cause some maybe minor power outages up near Virginia. So we'll continue to watch Monday. Keep checking in. We'll get a lot more information in between now and then, Ken.
Just so you know, Elizabeth, our little Frankie has requested snow. I don't know.
I hear it.
I hear it. Hey, want to start with this live look at I-40 at Lake Wheeler Road. Traffic has picked up but flowing nicely in both directions this morning. In terms of a live traffic sensors, just a handful of incidents to tell you about. A few we want to bring your attention to this morning. This one on Jones Sausage Road in the eastbound lane, not far from I-40 westbound this morning. We're not picking up any delays in that particular area, but just watch for some police activity and just be careful as you navigate Jones Sausage Road this morning. We're working to figure out exactly what kind of delays that's happening there on Airport Boulevard there in Mooresville. It's not far from McCrimmon Parkway, that crash. Right now, our sensors are not picking up anything, but just be mindful of that if you're navigating McCrimmon Parkway this morning. This crash is really in a neighborhood, Forest Drive and Tanglewood Drive, near Capitol Boulevard. Just be mindful of that. If you live in that neighborhood, you'll see some police activity, but really nothing to worry about. If you're getting ready to head out the door, you're heading into the capital city this morning using any of our major routes, it's virtually delay-free this morning. Similarly, if you have to head to the Bull City this morning, you're not worried about anything. You will get to your destination on time. Nothing to worry about there. You're getting ready to head out. Tune us in on the radio, why don't you? 101.5 HD3, we got you covered in the Triangle.
All right, thank you, Ken. People in a Hawaiian neighborhood are trying to process a deadly fireworks explosion. Neighbors spent most of the day yesterday cleaning up rubble from that explosion on New Year's Eve. Police say illegal fireworks are what caused this explosion. 3 people were killed and more than 20 were injured. Gabriel Rolls lives in the home directly across from that house that was destroyed. And Rolls says a firework exploded at ground level and it was chaos from there. He and his guests had minor cuts and burns, so he tried to help others.
There were like burns. A lot of people were like doing 1,000-yard stare, just walking in shock. Didn't know what to do. They seemed kind of helpless and out of it. But I'm glad that the EMS and first responders were on scene to take care of and do what they need to do.
Do what you can. Police say they are investigating whether charges for the person who lit the fireworks are warranted in this situation.
A Hope County man says fireworks that his neighbor set off on New Year's Eve caused this fire. The flames destroyed his truck, damaged a car, and also burned part of his home. Kevin White says he and his daughter were watching the ball drop when he got a notification from his security cameras. He says that shows his neighbor shooting off fireworks, but a few minutes later, he got a second alert that showed the fire.
Camera that I thought were my neighbor's house came outside, and I went running to help them, and I saw the flames were actually in my driveway, and that changed everything.
You can see the melted siding on his house, too. White says he's thankful he and his daughter were awake when the fire started. He says it is unclear how much car and home insurance will cover. His family started a GoFundMe to help cover the cost of a new car and a temporary rental.
The FBI released new video of a person who placed a bomb at the Democratic National Committee headquarters in D.C. It's been 4 years since that case and still no arrests. But these new video angles were not available before. The FBI hopes it will jog someone's memory, or someone who knows something is ready to come forward. The bombs were placed on January 5th, 2021, and Vice President Kamala Harris actually came within 20 feet of one of those. But they weren't found until the next day.
New this morning, at least 50 people are dead in Israeli airstrikes across the Gaza Strip. The bombardment comes as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that he's sending a delegation to Qatar to work toward a ceasefire deal. One of the strikes hit an Israeli-declared humanitarian zone. Hundreds of refugees have been sheltering there, and a hospital says the attack killed 3 children. It also killed the general director of the Gaza police and his deputy.
Law enforcement agencies are preparing security for Raleigh's next big event, the governor's inauguration. Wooden scaffolding is already outside the Capitol building. Highway Patrol is leading the security preparations for this. And Raleigh police say security decisions for major events often consider incidents in other places. Wade County Emergency Management is handling the multi-agency communication.
You know, the things that happen in New Orleans and in Vegas and other parts of the world, we try to always take into account the lessons learned that come from those events. You know, even in the hours immediately after these events, we do get bits and pieces of, you know, what happened, what worked, what didn't work. And we try to make sure that we can incorporate all of those things so that we can have safe and effective events here.
They're getting prepared, and agencies have actually already discussed where command and control will be.
An appeals court rejected the return of net neutrality rules. A U.S. appeals court ruled the FCC did not have authority to reinstate net neutrality rules. The rules require internet service providers to treat internet data and users equally. That's instead of restricting access, slowing speed, or blocking content for certain users. The FCC restored the rules last April after President Joe Biden signed a 2021 executive order encouraging the commission to reinstate them. The FCC chair says it is now up to Congress to reinstate net neutrality rules.
Okay, guys, saw this on the live feed and had to show you. This is a live look at the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii erupting. This camera is from the U.S. Geological Survey on Hawaii's Big Island. The Kilauea volcano, one of the world's most active volcanoes. This latest eruption started December 23rd. It has been going ever since. And at times, the lava fountains have been quite spectacular. And for the first time in the span of a year, it is erupting inside the crater, and the first eruption that the public can see. Since 2020, previous eruptions have lasted anywhere from a week to a year. So it's anyone's guess as to how long this will last. But until then, pretty amazing.
It's a reminder how mighty that nature can be. Thanks, Renee. A growing number of people are taking on dry January, and a new study shows there are still stigmas when people choose to give up alcohol. Chanley Painter explains why.
Dry January is a challenge where people choose not to drink alcohol during the entire first month of the year.
The acceptability of low and no alcohol beverages is on the rise over the last 5 years.
But amidst their growing popularity, there's still some hesitancy surrounding these types of drinks. That's according to new research from Heineken and University of Oxford professor Charles Spence.
Many people still report being called out or judged on their decision to choose a non-alcoholic beverage.
After surveying roughly 12,000 adults across the U.S., UK, Spain, Japan, and Brazil, researchers found members of Gen Z that are over the legal drinking age, especially young men, are a main group feeling pressured about alcohol consumption.
They still feel a need to justify their choice of a low or no alcohol beverage particularly when they're in social situations.
If you say, oh, I'm not drinking, so why not? Like, what's up?
But some herd mentality could help, with the study finding 38% of men in this group said they would be willing to try non-alcoholic drinks if their friends did so too.
If they can have a social time and just be just as fun, sober, then why the need for drinking?
Meanwhile, with roughly 25% of study participants identifying people who don't drink as respectable, it could be a sign more people may feel confident choosing these drinks in the near future.
3-4 years ago, you probably would have tried to hide the fact. Now you just order a non-alcoholic and crack on.
Jenny Painter reporting, and experts say about 51% of people who said they wouldn't drink actually wound up consuming alcohol, mostly because of peer pressure.
That happens. Yeah. Well, a bullet shot into a woman's home on New Year's Eve. Hear why she says changing a holiday tradition may have saved her life.
Plus, similarities between the New Orleans and Las Vegas suspects. They're matching ties to North Carolina, despite intelligence saying the attacks were not connected.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Time is 8:26. I am Chris Lovingood. We're balancing things out, headed to your weekend with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner.
Checking our cameras right now. Lots of cloud cover. Cloudy in Wilson, Durham, and Fayetteville, and really the bulk of the viewing area. Still chilly, too. 31 in Wilson, 34 in Durham, and in Fayetteville. We do have a very small chance of showers this afternoon between 3 and 6 o'clock, a 20% chance. Rain will be in and out very quickly, just very light. Temperatures heading out the door this morning are mostly in the low to mid 30s right now, but we will see some colder air coming tonight and tomorrow. This afternoon, however, it stays on the mild side in the low 50s, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now with the WRAL Traffic Center. I want to give you this live look at I-40 and South Saunders Street. Traffic flowing nicely in both directions. If you're using any one of our major routes to get into the capital city this morning, you're looking at very little to no delay, just about 3 minutes. Our friends at Wake Forest coming into work or maybe an appointment of sorts. Similarly, in the Bull City, you're looking at very little to no delays, a very stress-free commute this morning.
All right, thank you, Ken. According to investigators, there is no evidence linking the Cybertruck explosion with the New Orleans attack. However, both drivers have connections to North Carolina. Both served in the Army at Fort Liberty when it was called Fort Bragg. And they went to Afghanistan in 2009. But they were not in the same unit, and there's no evidence they were in the same area. And just a heads up for parents, Wake County will not have school today. Today was the only school day scheduled for the holiday week. Teachers brought concerns about low attendance to the board, and so the board voted 6-2 to make today a teacher workday. Next on Fox 50, the results of Duke football's bowl game performance. And up next on Today, key ways to put your phone away in 2025.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
I'm tracking a cold front that'll bring some light showers this evening and then much colder air for the weekend. I'll show you what to expect.
And Fort Liberty connections, ties to North Carolina for both the New Orleans and Las Vegas attackers. What we are learning about their military service.
And bomb threat backups. A truck driver claimed to be hauling a bomb on I-85, according to police. What we know about that person after investigators brought the highway to a halt in South Carolina.
And the new governor's first official act. Details of Josh Stein's Helene relief plan. Thank you for sticking with us here on Fox 50 at 8:30 Friday morning. We made it to Friday. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Chris Lovingood. This week feels like it's been a long month.
The longest week of my life.
It's been kind of just slogging along there, but it's okay because I have good friends that I'm working with. That puts me in good spirits. Elizabeth Gardner is one of those good friends, and she has your forecast.
Oh, Chris, thank you. And the feeling is mutual. We take a look at RDU. Lots of cloud cover here, but none of that is going to cause any problems for any flights coming in and out of RDU. It's chilly. Our temperatures are in the low to mid 30s as you're stepping out across our area. It's 28 in Roxborough. That's our coolest spot. But 32 in Southern Pines and Clinton, 31 in Rocky Mount, 33 in Goldsboro. Hour by hour rain chances just between 3 and 6 o'clock. It's a 20% chance. Rain will be in and out very quickly, even if you see it at all. Temperatures this afternoon on the mild side. 51 is close to normal for this time of year. But once the front comes through, temperatures will drop quickly and we'll end up seeing some windy conditions overnight tonight and into early tomorrow. Winds will start gusting this afternoon afternoon, 15 to 20 miles per hour. And that means a wind chill for tonight and Saturday. I'll show you what it will feel like. Coming up, Ken.
Am I included in this friendship circle, I ask? Of course I am. Hey, let's take a look at your morning commute this morning. Just a couple of things to tell you about this morning, just so you'll know about it as you get ready to head out. This is a crash on I-40 westbound near South Saunders Street. Our sensors are not picking up any delays whatsoever. And there's a live look at I-40 and South Saunders. Traffic moving nicely in both directions. So you can't see the crash on this camera, but clearly it's not impacting you whatsoever. The other issue I wanted to bring your attention to is happening right here on Jones Sausage Road. It's really near I-40, and it's on Jones Sausage Road proper. But if you're navigating that area down there in Garner, you might see some police activity, but nothing really to worry about this morning. Everywhere you go this morning, you're seeing nothing but green showing up on our maps from Wendell to Raleigh, all the way to Chapel Hill and Durham. You don't have nothing to worry about this morning. Of course, if you're heading out, tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
We do want to give you a live look at Bourbon Street in New Orleans this morning. It's quieter there. There have been some crowds walking there as the street reopened yesterday after that attack on New Year's Day. New video, though, shows the growing memorial on Bourbon Street for the victims of Wednesday's attack. A large cross and flowers have been placed at that site, along with signs that indicate there's a vigil planned for 7 o'clock tomorrow night. The FBI says it believes the attacker acted alone as he plowed through the street early Wednesday morning. He killed 14 people and injured dozens more. Investigators say the attacker said he was acting on behalf of ISIS, but the White House reports seeing no evidence of foreign involvement in the attack. The FBI also says there is no definite connection right now between the attack in New Orleans and the Tesla Cybertruck explosion in Vegas.
And both men connected to the attacks in New Orleans and Las Vegas lived here in North Carolina. They both served at Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty. And WRAL's Kelsey Coffey has been at Fort Liberty this morning with a deep dive into the similarities between these two men.
There are so many similarities between these two men, aside from the fact that they both served here at Fort Liberty. Maybe all of these are coincidences, but today the FBI is working to find out if there's more to this. We know Sham Sudeen Jabbar and Matthew Livelsberger both served in the Army and were stationed here at Fort Liberty. But law enforcement says there's no record that they served in the same unit and they didn't overlap. However, they both served in Afghanistan back in 2009. Now comes the similarities in what happened. Both men used the same car rental company, Turo, to rent their vehicles with attacks on New Year's Day. And both vehicles were electric, a Ford F-150 Lightning in New Orleans and a Tesla Cybertruck in Las Vegas. Law enforcement shared an update on the Las Vegas attack yesterday.
We're always concerned in these sorts of events to ascertain what the motive is. We understand that's everybody's at the forefront of everyone's thoughts. And so looking into exactly what the motivation is remains our number one priority. This is why the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force has been brought into play.
We've reported before that the FBI says Jabbar was inspired by ISIS. As for Livelsberger, the FBI says they haven't gotten access to his cell phone or computers just yet, and that may give them some clues about his motive. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Fayetteville.
We've talked about the suspects, but we have to talk about the survivors. Alexis Scott Wyndham is from Mobile, Alabama. She was shot in the foot on Bourbon Street. The 23-year-old says that bullet is still lodged in her foot, but she is grateful to be alive. She was celebrating the new year with 7 friends, and she says they were about to grab a bite to eat before calling it a night. And that is when tragedy unfolded on the street.
I heard something go boom, 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 and people were screaming, and I looked to the left, and a truck was coming down like the street, and he was halfway on the sidewalk too. He was just running people over like it was nothing.
Now, she says the truck hit her and knocked her to the ground. She later FaceTimed with her mom, who identified the bullet wound. Then she says a Good Samaritan and his girlfriend offered to take her and her friend Brandon Whitsett to the hospital, and Whitsett is still there. Folks, we are going to stay on top of any new information coming from either of those stories in New Orleans or Las Vegas throughout the day. Look for updates on WRAL News from 4 to 7:30 this evening.
Today, we'll learn more about a bomb threat that forced all lanes of I-85 near Greenville, South Carolina to close for 5 hours. It started with a traffic stop about 2:45 yesterday afternoon. A tractor-trailer driver told a state trooper he had an explosive device inside his truck. All 6 lanes of I-85 were shut down as authorities investigated. No bomb was found. The driver was taken into custody. Authorities say they will release more information today, including the charges against that driver.
New this morning, 4 people are injured because of a shooting in Charlotte. Police say this happened last night in a neighborhood on the city's east side. Investigators say 3 people have life-threatening injuries and 1 has minor injuries. But police have not released any information on whether anyone was arrested or if they're looking for someone right now.
And a shooting outside of a nightclub in Queens that injured 10 people is believed to be gang-related. That's according to law enforcement. No arrests have been made, and all of the victims are expected to survive. Police say 15 people were waiting outside of the venue when 3 to 4 men opened fire on the group. Investigators say the men fled in a car. Police say there was a separate shooting hours later around 8:30 yesterday morning in Brooklyn. A 17-year-old was shot in the stomach. Police believe it was related to the shooting in Queens.
A couple believes their decision to change a New Year's Eve tradition may have saved a life. A bullet flew through the Faulkner's ceiling just minutes after the ball dropped at midnight. They believe it was celebratory gunfire. The couple went to bed early instead of celebrating the new year in their living room like they do every year. That's where the bullet landed.
Just decided to go to bed. Instead of staying up to celebrate, could we be making plans for a funeral?
But they're not. And the couple says deputies collected that bullet as evidence.
The new Congress convenes today at the U.S. Capitol, where you are looking live this morning. The first big move will be to vote on a Speaker of the House. If Mike Johnson keeps his gavel, he will have the narrowest House majority in nearly 100 years. Republicans won 220 seats in the November election. Democrats won 215. But the breakdown could actually be 217 to 215, and that's because 2 GOP lawmakers are expected to join the Trump administration, and Republican Matt Gaetz is not planning to return to Congress.
As a heads up for parents, Wake County school students on the traditional calendar do not have school today. The school board approved the change a month ago. Today was the only school day scheduled for the holiday week. Teachers brought concerns up about how low attendance is happening, and they brought that to the board. And so students will return to class January 6th.
As his first official action as governor, Josh Stein traveled to Asheville to sign 5 executive orders for Helene relief. He's creating a new state agency focused on Western North Carolina disaster relief. He also lifted regulations on state government purchases, and Stein says that will speed up efforts to rebuild roads and homes. The governor says the response will be a top priority of his administration.
We want every dollar dedicated to recovery, whether federal, state, local, or charitable, to be spent as efficiently, impactfully, and quickly as possible.
Governor Stein is also giving state employees extra vacation time, which he says they can use only for volunteering on disaster relief efforts.
Duke was unable to keep pace with Ole Miss and the Gator Bowl. The Rebels jumped out to a 24-7 lead at halftime, and they just kept on scoring in the second half. Ole Miss ended up running away with a 52-20 win, and the Blue Devils finished their first season under head coach Manny Diaz with a 9-4 record. Not bad.
Not bad. All right, coming up for us, a plane crashed into a California building, killing 2 people. Details of the investigation into how many people were on the plane and what caused that crash.
Plus, the Duchess of Sussex is hard launching her renewed public-facing life with TV show on Netflix. Details of Meghan Markle's new series, that's just ahead.
And also, you were looking live over Chapel Hill on this cold morning. After the break, Elizabeth Gardner will share how long this Arctic air will stick around. Welcome back on your Friday morning as you take a live look over Durham. It's chilly out there. It's also cloudy. the sun trying to peek through. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has our forecast for today and what we can expect this weekend.
Checking what's happening here in downtown Raleigh. Lots of cloud cover. We may see a few holes in the clouds between now and lunchtime, but then we'll cloud up even more later on this afternoon. It's 34 degrees, so it is a chilly start out there, but we do climb into the low 50s this afternoon, which will be the warmest day of the next 7. Weather watcher Priscilla Hollingsworth in Hope Mills sent us this gorgeous sunset. Those colors are just spectacular. Thanks for that one. Go to WRAL.com, search Weather Watchers, and send us what's happening in your backyard. Around town today, 51 in Raleigh, 50 in Durham, and 54 in Fayetteville with a mix of sun and clouds. 52 is our normal high, so we're close to that today. But look at the big plunge we take tomorrow, down to 41, and then highs are in the 40s well into next week. The coldest days will be Saturday and again on Tuesday. How about that wind chill? By 1 a.m., by midnight or so, it's going to feel like around 24. It'll feel like 18 to 19 if you're an early riser tomorrow around sunrise. That wind chill will be close to 18. This is a look at the wind chill, not the actual temperature. 32 is as warm as it's going to feel like for tomorrow. So tomorrow, you may want to be inside. Should see plenty of sunshine, but we're not looking at a very warm day at all. Sunday's a little warmer, but we'll see increasing clouds. And Monday is a day that we've been watching now for multiple days in a row. There's the potential just to our north for there to be some wintry precipitation, but it looks like most of us would end up seeing just some rain out of the system tomorrow. Monday may end up becoming a weather alert day. So keep checking back as we get more information.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. New this morning, an hours-long standoff at the home of South Korea's impeached president is over. Investigators from South Korea's anti-corruption agency tried to serve an arrest warrant against Yoon Suk-yeol. Their effort failed because of resistance from presidential security staff and hundreds of Yoon's supporters. The charges relate to the short-lived martial law that Yoon imposed last month. Yoon's lawyer says the warrant to arrest the president is illegal.
We are waiting to learn the names of the 2 people killed after a small plane crashed into a building in California. Dozens of other people were injured. Surveillance video shows the moment the plane crashed into a commercial building, and that happened yesterday afternoon in the city of Fullerton. That's about 25 miles-ish from L.A. Police say at least 200 people were inside the building at the time, and investigators are working to learn if the people killed were inside the plane or on the ground when they died. Police say the plane was a home-built aircraft with seating for 4 people, but they haven't said how many people were aboard. Authorities do say, though, the pilot appeared to be returning to the airport after an emergency landing just after takeoff.
Actor Justin Baldoni is firing back after his co-star Blake Lively accused him of sexual harassment. Baldoni's lawyer speaking out for the first time since Lively accused the actor of unprofessional and sexually inappropriate behavior on the set of It Ends With Us. Lively also accused Baldoni of orchestrating a smear campaign to damage her reputation. The New York Times published the first story about Lively's allegations, and now Baldoni and 9 others, including his PR team, are suing the paper for libel. The filing says text messages included in Lively's suit were taken out of context or excluded.
We plan to release every single text messages between the 2 of them. We want the truth to be out there. We want the documents to be out there. We want people to make their determination based on receipts.
And in a statement, the New York Times stands by its reporting and says it plans to vigorously defend against the lawsuit. A lawyer for Lively says nothing in this lawsuit changes anything about the claims made in her complaints.
An effort to challenge Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's financial disclosures, it's been rejected. 2 congressional Democrats asked for an investigation into free travel and gifts Thomas received. These came from wealthy benefactors, which were largely omitted from his financial disclosure forms. A ruling from the Judicial Conference found Thomas filed amended financial disclosures. It also argued there is legal uncertainty over whether the Judicial Conference has the authority to refer complaints about Supreme Court justices.
Breaking in the WRAL Live Center, President Biden announces he is officially blocking a $15 billion takeover of U.S. steel by a Japanese company, Nippon Steel. This saga has dragged on for about a year now. A national security review failed to reach a consensus deal and referred the final decision to the president last month. So Biden decided the fate of this American company, whether to allow a foreign entity to get control of it, put the company on better financial footing, or keep it in American hands and have a greater risk of U.S. Steel going out of business. This morning, Biden chose to keep it American, saying steel production and steel workers are the backbone of our country. He also said the sale by the Japanese company was a threat to national security.
All right, thanks, Renee. Former Congresswoman Liz Cheney is one of 20 people honored with the Presidential Citizens Medal. President Joe Biden gave Cheney the medal at a ceremony last night. He says her award was given for putting the American people over party. Cheney is a Republican. She led the House's January 6th committee along with Democrat Benny Thompson of Mississippi, who was also honored. The medal is the nation's second highest civilian honor.
Wake Forest is looking for a new police chief. Current Wake Forest chief Jeff Leonard is retiring. He served in the role for the last 15 years and is actually the longest serving chief of police in Wake County. His last day will be February 1st. You know what it means when we play that song, right? The first weekend of 2025 is filled with lots of chances to talk about get out and about. WRAL lifestyle editor Kathy Hanrahan is here with all those details. So let's talk about one of my favorite things coming to town, Animate Raleigh.
I love my theme song. We always dance. Okay, this festival is from the people behind GalaxyCon. Now, the convention focuses on all things animated. So we're talking about voice actors and artists. It's going to be so much fun. Raleigh Convention Center, Friday through Sunday. There's going to be cosplay, video, tabletop gaming, panels, and costume contests. Single, multiple day passes are still available. They start at about $50. Now, children ages 9 years and younger are admitted free with a paid adult.
And this is also your final weekend to see some pretty amazing art displays in downtown Raleigh, right?
This is so much fun. Okay, the Illuminate Art Walk is happening through Monday in downtown. It's a free self-guided walking tour. There's 19 different exhibits to check out, including some dinosaurs with holiday lights. There's a big attraction, which is like a big tunnel, and it's an interactive 100-foot tunnel you walk through at City Plaza.
Yeah, that's definitely something. I think Michelle said put that on Instagram. It's Grammable, I think, that photo right there. So the North Carolina Symphony is also performing this weekend. What exactly can we see and when can we see them on stage?
The Symphony, it's going to be presenting the Young People's Concert, Tchaikovsky's Discovers America, on Saturday at the Martin Marietta Center for the Performing Arts in Raleigh. The shows are at 1 and 4 p.m. And they're going to include music from the 1812 Overture, Sleeping Beauty, the Nutcracker, Swan Lake, a lot of pre-concert performances as well from Cardinal Gibbons High School Chamber Orchestra and the Triangle Youth Music. Tickets are still on sale. They start at about $26.
So basically, people can't say, oh, I'm so bored this weekend. Like, there's plenty to do.
So much to do.
All right, Kathy, thank you. And for folks, for more events, just go to WRAL.com and search the keywords out and about to learn more.
Meghan Markle is now back on Instagram, and now she's going to be back on television as well.
Let's make a show.
Let's go. Netflix released the trailer for Markle's new series. It's called With Love, Meghan. In the show, the Duchess of Sussex will share personal tips and tricks in the kitchen and in the garden. She'll have celebrity guests on the show, and it'll premiere on Netflix on January 15th.
When's your series drop? Making with Michelle. You know how to cook.
That would be awesome.
I would be on your show.
We could do it together. You cook too.
You know what? We'll shoot a pilot. We'll see how the higher-ups feel about it. All right, so keep an eye to the sky this morning because one of the most impressive meteor showers of the year is going on. The best time to spot the Quadrantids meteor shower will be before the sun rises. So actually, maybe a little too late for that. Definitely do that tomorrow morning. But here's the deal. People on the East Coast could see up to 25 meteors streaking across the skies. Pretty cool.
Cool. And look, Chris, this is awesome. Researchers in the United Kingdom found a Jurassic highway of sorts. Check this out. Researchers uncovered hundreds of dinosaur footprints in a lime quarry in Oxfordshire. The find is thought to date back to the Middle Jurassic period. That's about 166 million years ago. 5 extensive trackways were found. Researchers say 4 of the tracks were made by dinosaurs called sauropods. They say the 5th trackway was made by the dinosaur Megalosaurus, which had distinctive 3-toed feet with claws. It's being called one of the largest dinosaur track sites in the world.
As Jeff Goldblum would say, life finds a way.
Amazing. It finds a way.
Hey, just a little heads up for you. We do have a look at your winning lottery numbers just in case you missed them. And we'll get you another check on weather and traffic. That's coming up.